If you're just joining us, this is still the conversation. Let's go to South Africa, where South African Christian religious leaders who were part of a global delegation that spent Christmas in Bethlehem in solidarity with Palestinian Christians from the conflict-ridden region have arrived back. Now, the group made up of international clerics will also spend time in Jerusalem and met, of course, released Palestinian prisoners, as well as families of Israeli hostages. The group says it also met Christian Palestinians and Palestinians of other faiths in territories occupied by Israel, including the Gaza Strip, as Christians celebrated their holiest day on Monday. Now, joining me on the program right now is Reverend Frank Chikane, Emeritus Pastor of the Apostolic Faith Mission of South Africa, a former General Secretary and Vice President of the South Africa Council of Churches, and also Nkululeko Congo, an Anglican layperson, and, of course, an attorney too. Thank you so much for your time, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us.
All right. I would like to start off with you, Nkululeko. Let's start off with your experience in Bethlehem, which, of course, is one of the core areas in this very, very unfortunate conflict. What did you see and what did you observe?
Our time in Bethlehem was very interesting in that it's a year in which the people of Bethlehem decided not to celebrate Christmas because of what has been happening to our siblings in the Gaza Strip. And so all the celebrations were toned down drastically. The streets were empty, and there was a great deal of trepidation because of the ongoing attacks in nearby areas, nearby to Bethlehem, as well as some citizens or some residents in Bethlehem also noting that they were quite fearful for what was going to be happening next.
Okay, I would like to... Okay, continue, please.
No, I was going to say we were also quite fortunate to have heard, to have been privileged to hear a sermon by the Reverend Munda Isaac, which was quite a challenging one for us Christians, and that was a particularly special and high point in our visit in Bethlehem.
All right, I'd like to go to you, of course, Reverend. It must have really been a very, very, well, I could use the word, pretty much emotional time because, your delegation actually did meet different categories of people. What was your experience like?
My experience is that of pain. People are going through pain. They are traumatized. Most of the people we met would have relatives in one way or another in Gaza, and some of them gave us detailed descriptions of what happened. Some have lost their families, some have lost their houses. I've never seen the level of brutality and killing that has happened there. This is really genocide against the Palestinians. And it was clear that we need to get this war stopping, because if it doesn't stop, then you're going to kill all the Palestinians. It means it becomes ethnic cleansing, where Palestinians are removed, and then Israel has all that land to themselves. And I don't think we can treat indigenous people who have been there for their lifetimes in that manner. So the world needs to do something. We need to have a ceasefire now. We need to end the war. We need to end the occupation and let a solution be agreed on how people will live together.
I'll still stay with you, Reverend Chikane. Now, a lot of people are viewing this particular conflict along religious lines. And from what I also understand, you visited Palestinian Christians. What's your reaction to this mindset that it's more of a religious conflict than, wrapped up in other, will I call it ethnic issues too?
Yeah, this is a false argument. The point is that Palestinians lived together up to 47. Both Arabs and the Jews. I mean, at the time of 1947, everybody knows that there were 750,000 Arab Palestinians and 120 plus Jewish Palestinians who lived together there in peace. And then there was the disruption. UN took a resolution to partition the place and said this part will be for Israel and that part will be for Arab Palestinians. But they made sure Israel as a state and the Arab Palestinians were never allowed to have a state of their own. So this is not a religious war, it's a colonial imperialist war. The Palestinians have never been free since. People want to reduce this to a Jewish Islam clash or Christian Islam clash. The point is that the Palestinians and the many Christians don't know that the majority of the Christians in Israel, Palestine, are Palestinians, are Arab Palestinians. And so even in Bethlehem, the people who host you where Jesus was born are Palestinian Christians. And when you allow Israel to kill Palestinians, you're killing your own brothers and sisters as well. So it doesn't make sense. I mean, this religious sense in any way. Our God can never be a tribal God. God cares about all of us. And Jesus Christ died for all of us, Jews and Gentiles together. And from there on, the Bible says we are all equal before God, and that God cares about all of us and loves all of us equally. You can't have one group of people killing others and justify it in religious terms.
All right, Nkululeko, I would like to go back to you. Now, looking at the, what I call it, the foundations of Christmas, we know that there's a popular song a long time ago in Bethlehem, you know, what the Holy Bible says, Mary's boy child, Jesus Christ. I mean, Bethlehem is really significant when it comes to the celebration of Jesus Christ. But right now, it seems to be one of the, you know, points of, flashpoints of conflict, a serious conflict happening between, of course, Israel and the Hamas. Now, you were there. What was the mood like on Christmas Day? There were reports that the celebration there was suspended. What was the mood like, and what did you see and witness?
The celebrations were indeed suspended or significantly toned down. The residents in Palestine, sorry, I apologize. The residents in Bethlehem were also quite clear on their stance. Some of the patriarchs and the heads of the churches had met with the Israeli president, and they were quite clear that they didn't agree and didn't sanction this, and therefore were unwilling to welcome the patriarchs into the town for the usual parade. So the mood was quite a somber mood. It was a mood where we were called to remember the true meaning of Christmas and to remember that Jesus was born into an occupied territory as well. And this was again an occupied territory. And we were also reminded, Reverend Frank has said that there was a lot of pain, which is true. But in that, we were also quite welcome. There was a lot of humility. There was a lot of kindness from the people. I had a conversation with a gentleman who felt he couldn't celebrate Christmas and the Advent message was not applicable to him. He did not have hope. He did not feel love because the Palestinians and Palestinians in Gaza and just generally in Palestine felt abandoned by the rest of the world. There was no joy and there was certainly no peace in the region. So that's, I think, overall the mood that we felt and that we experienced whilst we were in Bethlehem. But even so, there was a desire to continue resisting the occupation, to continue supporting the siblings in Gaza, and to do whatever people could in the general occupation, and to assist the siblings in Gaza. One of the big difficulties that is being experienced at the moment is that organizations that are providing support by various means to people in Gaza, for children, refugees. When they receive international funding, it's regarded as funding that's going to support terrorist organizations, regardless of the work that they're actually doing. And that's putting a great hindrance on the ability to support people in or coming from Gaza. So that was another one of the concerns that we've noted is, in addition to the violence, there's a great effort being put in to cutting off supplies, to cutting off any aid and assistance to Gaza, not just through the closure of borders, not just the lack of supply of electricity and water to the area, but also in reducing any level of funding that can go to the area or that can support people who've managed to come out of the area.
All right. I mean, because we're pressed for time, I would like, of course, to direct this question to Reverend Chikane. In 30 seconds, what is your advice for the warring factions, and what do you see or propose as a way forward out of this very, very chaotic conflict?
Yeah, I've already said it. The war has to stop. And once you've stopped the war, you must end occupation, because what triggered this violence is the fact that people have been occupied. And as you know, Gaza has been under siege for 16, 17 years. So Palestinians and the Israelites need to live together, either in one state or the two-state solution. It doesn't matter which one goes, but you need to make sure that all of them have got their rights, all of them have got equality, and that they live in peace together. You can't actually continue like this, because more killings of the Palestinians means there shall be no justice for the Israelis as well, or peace for the Israelis as well.
All right, Reverend Frank Chikane, Emeritus Pastor of the Apostolic Faith Mission of South Africa, a former General Secretary and the Vice President of South Africa Council of Churches, and of course Unkulelo Congo, an Anglican layperson and also an attorney. Thank you so much for your time, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Of course, that's a wrap on the show at this time. Don't, of course, forget that you can actually catch up on social media. We are at News Central TV. Every view of a guest on this show is solely theirs and not a reflection of that of News Central. My name is Dakbo Adigboyi. Bye for now.